everyone. My name is Sandhya. I'm a senior developer advocate at AWS. And today I want to talk to you about the next generation of autonomous agents, specifically agents that can improve by themselves. And I want to give you a quick anecdote about how this started. Now, we built this 3 years ago at AWS. This was built internally for our own productivity. And it was so cool that we decided we wanted to outsource it to everyone. And we wanted to keep it open source, but we are still supporting it. So it's fully managed, and but it's still community driven, and everyone can contribute PRs, and it's amazing. Now, 2 weeks ago, I remember ordering food from one of the apps. I ordered the rice bowl and I'd ordered guac with it, but then they didn't actually give me the guac. So then what I did was I went and spoke to the chat bot and it was like, hey, I didn't receive my order. Can you give me a refund? And it was like, upload a photo or a video showing me what's wrong with your order. So then I was like, with all the deep fakes that are there and everything that's there, let me upload a video instead. Because how do you show something's missing, right? If the bug on it, you can take a photo of it. Like, how do I show? So it was like, by the way, this is my rice bowl. This is my empty table. There's no guac. Okay, so then I tried doing that. But what happened was that chatbot couldn't actually process videos. So then I took a screenshot of that video, like with just one of the screenshots, and I uploaded it, and they said, great, a refund received. So fundamentally, what's wrong here is that it's able to process photos, but it's not able to process a video of the exact same pixel and the exact same image, right? And the reason for this, one of the reasons for this, is because sometimes we realize that we have a certain scope when we're building agents in production. And sometimes we realize that depending on who's using it, the needs can change and the scope can vary. So now it's just image. Tomorrow it could be audio. Day after tomorrow it could be video. We definitely want to make sure that we're guardrailing and constraining the type of data that we want to feed in, but we also want it to be flexible enough that it can go outside a scope and it doesn't just fail directly. We want it to at least try to solve it a little bit. And so that brings me to the topic of how can we actually build agents that improve on themselves. Now, the framework that I was talking about is called Strands Agents. This is an open source project. This is one of your BYOM type of projects where you can bring any model you want. So this works with your Anthropic, this works with any of your Hugging Face models. You can connect it to Olama. Because it is AWS, natively it works with Bedrock under the hood. We have Bedrock hosted models. So I actually use Anthropic via Bedrock for this, but you can use your own accounts and your own models. This will work. It's got MCP, it's got A2A, it's got all of your plugins. Another really cool thing that it's got is it uses everything as a tool. It's got very good integration with a lot of external tools. So this specific open source agentic framework helps us solve this problem. Now, there are three parts to increasing autonomy. The first one is being able to build its own tools. We want to see how it can identify whether there's a gap in what's missing and then build a tool to fix that gap. The second thing we want to be able to do is be able to build agents by its own. We want it to be able to take it to another level and spin off its own agents and sub agents and be able to build a more reliable system where it thinks for itself. And finally, and today is just going to be a teaser because we have only 30 minutes. I definitely want to see if we can do a demo. I want to see if we can take any types of questions. This is going to be a quick teaser. The third part, updating its own source code, I'm not going to get into that today. But FYI, when we wrote Strands agent, we wrote it in Python. So we had a Python SDK, and we used the Python SDK to write the TypeScript SDK. So we actually did not write the TypeScript SDK itself. This agentic system by itself updated its own source code and wrote its own TypeScript SDK that works and it's available and it's online. So you can check how that's been doing. So it's pretty cool. Call me biased, but I love it. And so how do you start with it? Very simple. Just import agent, and we want to give it access to shell. Now, all you need to get it to work are like three different tools. This is just an example. When you give it access to shell, it knows what are the different tools and directories that exist in the shell, and it's able to operate on them. Now, I'm just going to show you a quick, I think, 10-second demo. So here I'm just asking it, what can you do? And here it's going to list out all of the capabilities of shell. So it is aware of itself, right? It's meta aware of what it actually has access to, and it will talk to you about that. So this is just telling us, okay, I have access to these things. Now, to the first question of can they build their own tools? Hint, wink, wink, yes, they can. That brings us to self extending agents. The only thing we need to remember here is if you can see my screen, it's still got just shell, right? But what we additionally change here is the system prompt. So in the system prompt, this is where I specify what a tool is supposed to look like, and we tell it to go ahead and create a custom tool. Now, a custom tool is just defined by a decorator called act tool. And typically what we would do is if we were writing our own tools, we would write the details of what the tool is supposed to do. And this could be a natural language in natural language, or it could be a function definition itself. This could be one of your MCPs, what you will. But here we're just telling it, hey, by the way, system prompt, this is what a tool looks like. This is what I want it to look like. Now, and here in this one line of agent, I'm going to say system prompt equals system prompt, this. And in my tools, I give it shell. The other thing I do is load tools from directory equals to. Why is this line so powerful? Is because the power of this is not in the fact that it can write new tools. It's in the fact that these new tools will start running directly without having to redeploy. So you don't actually have to restart your process and redeploy. At runtime, this does dynamic loading of your tools. Therefore, we always say load tools from directory equals true, so by default it's false. If you wanted to do it, then we set it as true. And then here, I'm just going to say create 5 tools for yourself. So let's quickly watch how that works. Again, 10 seconds. Now we can do a live demo. We can play around with it. So here, I'm saying the exact same thing. I'm establishing what my system prompt is. I'm saying I'm allowing dynamic reloading, and I'm calling it. Now, when I call it straight off the bat, it starts working, and you can see that there are no tools right now. And it is slowly building each of these tools. Because I didn't specify what tools to build, it's just building 5 random tools. And it's also super fast. This was done in real time. I haven't 2x the speed or anything. So it's going ahead and creating all of these tools here. And not just that, it will also demonstrate the working of them in the same run. So now it's calling each of these tools. And in the next step, it will actually tell you what it's doing. So it's calculating and it's calling and it's giving you the answer. Pretty cool, right? This concept is called meta tooling, where it understands that it understands what tools it has access to and how it can go ahead and create those tools. If we want to take this inception to the next level, what we want to do is be able to let it update its own system prompt. And this is the hack to creating its own agents. Now, in the previous case, we established what the system prompt is. Now, the power of agents is in giving them a personality. You give them a persona and you say, the goal of you is to do, you are a research agent, you are a customer service agent, right? You give it a persona and you tell it what to do. In this case, what we want to do is we tell the main agent to figure out what sub-agents it needs, and that decides the persona for each of those agents and sets it up. And that can only work because it's able to update its own prompt. In this case, it's the exact same call here, right? We're just doing the same shell. We give it access to environment because now it needs yet another layer of meta-ness, which is having access to the entire environment apart from just the shell. Same function over here in the system prompt, I'm doing os.getEn, And then I'm telling it, this is the system prompt, no custom defined, use environment to set up your own system prompt. And it goes ahead and sets up system prompt. We can play with this. I know I just have another 15ish minutes left. So I also want to really do a live demo if we can, because I think that's more fun. When after we do our system prompts, the next thing we need to do is understand about multi agent architectures, because we just don't want to spin off one other agent, right? Now, with this specific agentic framework, there are different types. One is called a swarm, where you have different agents collaborating with each other to give you an output, and then it goes to the next step. It's not one leading to the other. If you could also use a graph where agent one gives you an output that gets sent to the second agent, and so on and so forth. And finally, we can have a workflow, which is a series of different agents working together. An example of a workflow is this, right? So here, this workflow, it can spin off multiple different graphs. So it will first start with the use agent, then it can come here, and then it's going to come here. You can also use a function called think, and it's going to do deep research. You can also use swarm, you can use a graph, and this specific output can use a combination of all of these different workflows to give you an output. And we can actually decide upfront, and we can tell our main agent to use as and when necessary how this needs to be done. So there is a lot of control that we can use, we can enforce on this. This is a disclaimer, but it is also super, super important. So I love talking about the next topic. We need to talk about evals. Every time we're building an agentic framework, we need to be we need to be able to do evals at scale, without which there is no point to building any of this, because otherwise it will only work in your demo and it will not work in production. So we have 8 different eval functions that we've got. We do observations and tracing. You can also use any of your own evals. This has a good integration with Raga's framework or any of the framework, any customized eval functions. Use what you will, but we also have our own which you can directly use. I love some of these evals. The first one is, if let's say it's building its own agentic system, how did it do end to end? We want to understand if the end to end goal actually worked or not. So if the question is, was the flight booked? We want to see across all of the different turns, did it really work? The second thing we want to look at is the trace level, right? We want to look at, did it give you the right answer or not? And what does that even mean? So if the question is, check my balance, and it responds with your balance is so on. First question, is that the right type of response that it needs to get, which is your helpfulness evaluator. The second thing is, did it make the did it give you the right info, or did it make up stuff? Right? Is it actually $500 or is it something else? So this is your faithfulness evaluator. Then we have to get into every single tool usage. So the next one, give me there we go. So both of these popped up, but I'll talk about each of them individually. This is at a tool level, where we want to see, did it call the right tool, and did it call the right parameter within each tool for every tool call? And finally, we want to look at a quality analysis, right? Did it use the right series of tools? Did it you call them in the right order? How is the multi-agent coordination? What is the final agent response? And so across these 4 high levels, we have these 8 evaluations. And please do not deploy a model, deploy a system without doing evals. The second thing that you must remember is, before you give your agent shell access, please make sure you add guardrails. Again, like I said, this is both a disclaimer but also a recommendation. Please constrain your environment. Before giving it shell access, make sure you've established your right IAMs, your permissions, your roles. Make sure you're sandboxing it in the right way. Make sure you have version control in place. Make sure you're constraining the tools, the right websites that it should have access to. Make sure again, like I said, observability. So make sure your guardrails are in place before you go ahead. Because the thing is, with great power comes great responsibility. While Meta Agents is the next best thing in the world, and I love it, I think it's amazing for rapid prototyping. If you want to build something, you have an amazing idea, and you're like, let's go ahead with this. You want to be able to give it to your pilot team and say, go nuts with this, use whatever you want. And then you see the type of questions that they come up with. You want to be able to give it to all of your product engineers, your initial, your design teams, your users, to see what type of questions they ask and to see if your model can handle it. And if it cannot, it will go ahead and build those tools that are necessary to handle it. So you get immediate feedback without you having to go and write this code by yourself. You get it at runtime without having to deploy. So it's equally important to ensure that no one is misusing what you've built, that you're not just allowing it to delete pre-existing code or pre-existing tools that it thinks are useless. We want to make sure there's no prompt injection, no jailbreak. This is very important. Okay, now I'm done with all of the technical bits. Do I have any quick questions before we can start playing on with the demo? Okay, a couple of resources for you to take screenshots of if you're interested in Strand. I'm going to give you 2 more minutes, or not 2 more minutes, a couple of seconds to take screenshots of this. Oh, and the other thing, because I was speaking about guardrails and how to build better systems, my teammate Ellie is speaking, I think, in the next session. She's also going to be speaking about how rack systems aren't necessarily reliable and how there's a better way to build rack system using GraphRag. So that's another cool thing that we also do sometimes, just to ensure that the results that we get are super relevant. So if you're here, would definitely recommend watching. She's amazing. I love her. Okay, let's jump into the demo that I've got here. I will quickly walk you through it. So this code is super simple. Like I've said, I've only got 3 things: editor, shell, load tool. This is another way you can, there's also a tool called load tool, which allows you to directly load it from directory. So this is a shortcut that I've used. Now here, the whole key to this is in the system prompt itself, where I'm telling it a bunch of things. So all I'm telling it is you're a meta tooling agent, and I'm establishing rules that it needs to follow while creating a meta agent. So here I'm telling it, when you're creating a new tool, please put it in the dot tools directory and nowhere else. So I'm establishing that. I'm telling it which tools to use for what reason. Then I'm giving it a structure. I'm telling it how exactly the tool needs to look and how it needs to be defined. This structure is what will help you build your tools reliably. Then I'm also telling it how to use it, and I am defining these rules which it needs to follow. This is the key. This is the secret sauce to making it work right. After this, it's super simple, right? After this, all I'm saying is agent, system prompt, ecosystem prompt. These are your tools. That's it, right? Super simple code. And this is on you to play with, do whatever you want with. And also, when you see here in tools, it doesn't have any tools right now. Agent.py. So I'm just going to run it. Python 3 agent.py. And you guys can tell me what you want it to do and it can do it. If you have ideas on, hey, make it do this, we can get it to do it. Because right now, this basic agent has no capability. And I am running it right now. This is running, so we can get it to do whatever. If we have no ideas, I can just, do we have ideas? Or do you just want me to ask it to make up? The maze one, oh man. So I did this somewhere else and we were trying to get it. Someone there said, get it to build an ASCII maze. And I was like, what on earth is an ASCII maze? And this thing actually figured out what an ASCII maze was, and it did a pretty cool job. Do you know what an ASCII maze is? Do you want to see that or not? Yeah, the ASCII maze. So with the maze one, okay, so she wants the maze one. We can do that. We can do other things. Create an ASCII maze and simulate it, right? That's what made it work. Simulate the path and actually complete it. And complete the path as well. Write it to a new file. Let's see if it does a good job again. And so here, before it creates, it's calling editor 1 and it's creating that tool. Now this one is going to try and create the actual ASCII maze tool. It's supposed to be able to create a path using just ASCII. Please do this every time so that it asks you before it goes ahead and writes tools. So again, this is a guardrail that I've established. So I'm going to say yes. And then it's going to go, oh, it's actually written the tool already, which is pretty cool. It has gone ahead and written that tool. We'll see if it actually works. And it's also created ASCII.maze, and it's actually created something, and it's trying to solve it here. And it's saying the maze is fully solvable. You can follow the dots from STE to find the solution path. It's actually doing it. Let's play on with something else too. Do you have any quirky ideas that you wanted to do? Implement tic-tac-toe? Yeah, let's go for it. Implement a tic-tac-toe game. Do we also wanted to play it? Yeah, okay. No, actually, let's just make it do it and then we'll see if it can play it. 3x3 game. Let's say 3x3. Yeah, maze. Okay, so because it doesn't have, it's going to go and create one now. And so under the hood, I'm using Opus with through Bedrock. So the efficiency of this system also depends on the LLM you use. If it's a more powerful LLM, the results are going to be that much better. So it does depend on that too. Okay, so now it did create it after. That was fast. It was actually super fast. Great. Play with me. Or play with me. Create a new file and play with me. Create a new file and play with me. Let's see if this is the first time I'm doing it, so don't blame me if this doesn't work fully. It depends on how I'm prompt engineering with it, giving it permission. And yeah, okay, get permission. Okay, so now it's created tic-tac-toe. You are X, computer 0. Use positions 1 to 9 to make moves. Get 3 in a row to win. Game log. Okay, do you want to play? Let's play. Do you want to proceed with the string replace operation? Sure. Let's go. What are we starting? What is happening? Are the corners 5 is the center? Gotcha. Tell me which number you'd like to play and I'll make the move for you. What are we doing? Okay. 3. We'll see if this updates. Great move. You took the top right corner with your X, and the computer responded by taking the center, position 5. Let me update our game file. Did it update? Oh, it's creating a new file each time. Okay, I need to ask it to change it, right? Is it actually changing? Game started. Okay. So we've got 3 and we've got 5. What else are we going with next? 3, 5. Let's do 2. Or do you want to do 1? 1? Okay, let's try 1. We'll see if this is updating it. Oh, shoot. Okay, wait. Yes, please update it. Okay, it's actually listening. It's not bad. So I think it updates one move prior to what we do. But what's your move? Now we give it 1, correct? Okay, play with me. By the way, I've never done this before. You and I are doing it at the same time. Great move, blah, blah, blah. Give permission. Yes, it is updating the same one. Okay, so, wow. Are we doing this? Or do we have anything better in mind? Oh, shoot, I'm out of time. Let's quickly play this game. Are we doing 8? Oh, you want to see if we can win? Okay, let's do 6 then. Yeah, let's do 6. We'll see if we can actually win. Oh, the computer won. It did figure out how to do it. Yes, please proceed. Tell me what you did. This is something else. There we go. Now we've got a tic-tac-toe game that this thing just created for us. Thank you very much. This is it. If you have any questions, I'm available. Talk to me, connect with me on LinkedIn. Happy to help. Thank you.